Good day, everyone. This is me riding my 18-year-old draft horse. Today we're going to work on some lateral movements. Um, I just picked him up, just a forward, downward tendency to rate in him. So he starts to arch his back and relax through, moves over his back, and actually um, opens his spinous processes, so it lets me sit properly. We're just riding him, warming him up, making him loose on both sides, making sure he responds, that all the buttons are working, that he's flexing properly, and actually letting go. To the left, he tends to hold on a little bit too much. Tends to be a bit, he doesn't want to come through with his left hind leg, and thus he pushes into the left rein a lot from his right hind. So what I'm attempting here is to have him yield from my inside leg to my outside rein and ask him on that outside rein to let him basically make him loose. On the inside rein, I'm asking him to not put pressure, so I ask and basically let him drop and ask and basically let him drop, so he will carry his own weight. And I keep my outside rein nice and steady so he can lean into that. What that does is he has to align his spine more, take more weight on that right hind leg, and step more under with the left hind leg. And here you slowly start to get moments where he's actually stepping more in and over his back and starting to actually relax through here. And this problem is because we've been adjusting his feet. They were pretty bad due to some white line disease, and so we're still adjusting to get him fully up. Here I'm doing a turn around the hindquarters, but I'm taking a pretty big circle to make him give him a little bit more room. Here I'm changing to a turn around the forehand, and as you can see, he walks a little bit away over his left shoulder. There you have a little miscommunication. I think I tapped him a little. And then he comes out of the contact, but he does continue the exercise, so I'm quite happy with that. Again, you would like to have a little bit more of a fluid transition there. And here we have him in contact, and he does the exercise quite nicely. So in the end, I'm quite happy with this result. And then I reward him by letting him drop a little bit more over his back, just giving a little bit more room, and just to reward him for the exercise well done. When you write those exercises, just be very cognizant of picking your lines and writing the lines you want, so you can be very secure in where you place the horse in space. And that is kind of what dressage is all about, and even I would say other disciplines. You want to have control over your horse and being able to place the front end and the hindquarters where you want them to go. Now I'm asking him to step over his around his hindquarters the other side. I do that by kind of making him straighter in his body, closing the outside rein every time he steps with his left front, and then you kind of tilt that over. So he becomes straighter in his body, and he starts to not bend, but step over. And here I'm finally sitting a little bit more, and collecting a bit through, because he was running through the exercise, and switching him to turn around the forehand. And here's again pushing himself a little bit out of that right shoulder. He wants to brace against that right rein. But you can see he's scissoring very nicely in his legs. He's stepping over very nicely. He's keeping the rhythm. There he slows down a bit. And then I make a change back to a turn around the hindquarters. And there you go. This is better. So this is a quite difficult exercise for just leg yielding in that sense. And it's good for the horse for obedience and for suppleness and flexibility to flow through these exercises and change them up and basically do them together and ask one to the next. I'm going to see some more of this changing of exercise of lateral movements during this video. We're going to start with some shoulder in and stuff in a bit, and then we're going to see some shoulder in to half pass to shoulder in to half pass to shoulder in to half pass, kind of a staggered line, which is again a very good exercise to switch the horses from one lateral movement to the other, just to get them more through and get them to actually start listening. Here you see a little bit of leg yielding, and he tends to again brace against that left shoulder. He wants to break out a little bit and throw his neck to the right, but as you can see, actually scissored quite nicely, so he was stepping over quite nicely, and he was responding to my leg. He tends to be a bit runny here. He's a bit over his speed, but I'm riding him back and controlling him a bit more. And there you go. He's actually stepping over quite nice. But again, that slight break in the neck to the left in this case, which I don't like to see. But we're working on it. It's getting better. And here, we just relax him through. Let's give him a little bit rounder. And when I say rounder, I mean in his body. I don't really care about the neck necessarily. It has to do with his body. Here we have a little bit of shoulder in. And without a wall, it's slightly more difficult for him and for me, because he tends to then put his butt out instead of his shoulders in. He kind of did a little bit of both there, but at least he still kept his lines, and I was able to control him there. And here we ask it again, ask him shoulder in, nicely, have him come nice loose, let loose on the inside rein, basically control him on your inside leg to your outside rein, and that will bend him around there. The outside leg is again to stop his butt from swiveling out. And that was actually quite a good piece as far as you could see. I apologize for this camera angle, because it's the only way I can record right now. I have to find a different solution for that in the future. Now you can see he's actually flowing through his body quite nicely. His tail's nice and loose. And in a bit, I believe I'm going to drop him a little to give him a little bit more of a break. And that's one of the most important things, that you can control the shoulders wherever you want them, the hindquarters wherever you want them, but I also want to control the head to be able to place it wherever I want at that moment, and to flow through these exercises where I want the head. Here's a little bit of shoulder into the other side. And here again, I made a little mistake there. He went a little bit forward, but I need him to bend in his body and kind of swivel his hindquarters to his shoulders and hindquarters to his shoulders, back and forth. Kind of like an accordion type movement. And we should be able to see it a little bit clearer from this side. And again, you put the shoulders in. You see him step. See kind of like that tail wagging type movement he's doing, and he could do it a little bit more. But again, he's a big horse, so it's pretty difficult for him at this point. And I'm glad that he can show it through relative lightness and flow through these exercises. There, let him drop a little bit as a job well done. Let's give him a little reward. So I want him to be a little lower, a little longer, just to stretch him out and say, hey, good boy, this is what I wanted from you. And you see me doing that a couple of times just to give him the length and say, hey, this is good, this is your reward, good boy, there you go. I'm dubbing over the original recording, or else you could hear me say that actually, because I do use verbal praise to reward him for his behavior. And slowly picking him up again and asking him to leg yield. So again, here you want to keep him straight in his body, straight as possible, and you can determine the angle he's using. And to the other side, you'll see me change the angle a couple of times just to see if he's listening, just to see if I can. And the fact that I can, again, proves that I've got control over where I place him in space, and that gives me the possibility to basically do anything with them that I want. And this is just, again, leg yielding, but it would be the start of the travers. Again, travers would be basically this movement, but then I ask flexion and bend instead of just keeping him straight in his body. If I'm not mistaken, see there I close the angle a little bit, and here I make his hindquarters come in a little more. There you go. Got a little straighter, and then I ride him out. And the goal is, of course, to keep him nice and loose and nice and soft up front. Even for such a big horse, I don't have more in my hand than an ounce, maybe 2. Well, probably less than that even. And I determine how soft I want him to be. Here I'll go again, the leg yielding the other way. You can see that I increase the angle a little bit and make it more perpendicular to the wall. And again, I want to have that control over it. This is more of a flexibility movement. When I keep the angle a little shorter, he has to step under his mass more and carry a little bit more weight with the left hind leg in this case. And so that's more of a strengthening movement. So again, I want to be able to control what he's doing and what the angles are to either strengthen or work on flexibility or whatever I feel he needs at the time. Plus I want to be able to switch and just to work on obedience. So here he tends to push a little out with his nose and loses back a little and loses rhythm. And I have to guard that and pick up back up. Without rhythm, without the rotating of the pelvis, he cannot arch his back, nor can he actually be in contact. So even if you lose it there, it's better to either, if you're a little bit more advanced in this exercise like he is, you can either pick it up again in the exercise, or you can ride straight, ride the rhythm again first, make sure you have him under control, and then ask it again. So here we have a little shoulder in, and I'm trying to shoulder in, half pass, shoulder in, half pass. I should be sitting on the inside, so that's a mistake on my end. And I'm sitting way too more to the left. I'm actually bending into my hip, which would be a mistake, and that's why he's got some issues there. But overall, he picked it up really nicely. And you see me going forward and then sideways a bit and forward and sideways and forward and sideways. Now I'm coming back and doing it again. So here's shoulder in. So here he comes inside with the half pass. Shoulder in again, straight forward. Asking the half pass again. And you saw at the end that he pushed his butt out instead of his shoulders in. He's on 4 tracks now, and I don't think he's bent at this point. And there he goes again into a somewhat half pass. I must say this is more difficult to see from this angle than I thought it would be. And there I give him the long, low reins just to stretch him out and say, okay, good boy. This is exactly what I wanted you to do. And this is, again, a very difficult exercise for him. Half passing is difficult regardless of the breed, but he, of course, is not built for this work. But as you can see, he can actually flow through it decently nicely. And I think I'm going to change sides, pick him back up slowly, make sure that he, stretch a little bit more down there. And then put him back into frame to go the other way, to have him go the other side. And shoulder in. I'm trying to remember what I did here. I think I'm trying to go shoulder into renvers. And he's got some difficulty with that because he wants to put his butt more out. And there he actually does it. And this is kind of a bummer. I really need to get some other recording apparatus, just to be able to see it better. I'm going to do it again towards the camera, so that might be a little bit clearer what I'm actually doing. So here I'm shoulder in, asking him shoulder in. You see kind of the tail wag movement of the tail. Thankfully he's got a tail you can actually see from this distance. Now I'm asking him to go renvers. And he has a little difficulty there. Stuck him side. Yep, there. Yes, come shoulder in again. Again, this stuff still needs a lot of work. The next time I will get him, get a better angle of the camera to actually show you what's happening. And there I give him nice long and low to stretch him out and reward him for his behavior. And give thumbs up for a job well done. Changing direction, picking it back up again. I'm going to do it this side as well. And towards the camera, it should be a little bit clearer, especially on the wall. At this point, he's really letting go of the inside rein there. That's really nice. He's very nice and supple. He's soft in the hand. And even for such a big guy, he's actually quite together there. There, and here I'm switching him. Again, the dust cloud, that's kind of a bummer. And here he goes into shoulder in again. Shoulder in. And to a renvers. And here we make the switch. Yeah. There, that was better. At the end, he actually started giving to the inside. The next exercise we're going to do is leg yield into travers. And then at the end, we're going to travers him almost a half circle. So this is again shoulder in, into renvers. Here you can see that he's actually stepping differently. And then we take him into shoulder in again and into renvers at the end, I believe. Yes. Again, very hard to see. My apologies for that. And again, the moment of relaxation, the moment of reward, saying, hey, good boy, I know this is difficult for you, I know it's hard. So I give him a little bit of a reprieve, pat him on the shoulders and say, hey, good boy, while keeping him stretched. So here I go into travers, and again, look at the kind of waggy tail motion of his hindquarters, and he steps in and then out and in and out. He's got a little difficulty there. I see here I make the angle too big, and there I reward him again. Because he did actually quite a good job. He was starting to bend, he was starting to move his hips in an accordion way to his shoulders, and kind of moves apart, moves together, moves apart, moves together. So he's actually bending his body. Well, using it right now, he's straight. This is leg yield. And then here, I'm bending him on my inside leg into a travers movement. There you go. This is good. This is good. This is good. He lacks a little bit in the rhythm there because he finds it very hard. And here I may put him travers on a bit on the circle, started to put his hindquarters in and keep the bend in his body. And there again, the reward, like, hey, I know, buddy, this is very hard for you. I know this is, you're doing your best and you're trying to be as loose and you're giving me everything. So I reward him. Here I put him into leg yield first. And there I switch to a travers. And you see that the movement is different. He should be flexed to the inside. And again, when he does a few steps correctly, I reward and say, hey, good boy, you can go on a stretch. This is awesome, good boy. Just to emphasize that is what I want here. I start with a traverse straight away. You see him nicely scissoring at the back. The angle is a bit too big. I think I adjust that later. But he's flexed to the right. Here I changed the angle a little bit less. He should go, I believe, 3 tracks, and he's definitely on 4. And here I make the angle even bigger. So this is my mistake. And here I put him on the circle, and he did a very good job there. So again, very nice long low, just to give him his reward and say, hey, good job, boy. This is exactly what I want you to do. But even there, right, like even if he's long and low, I keep him connected. I keep the rhythm first. I make sure he's moving, and I make sure his top line remains arched. He pushes me up through in the saddle, and this is what I want here. I let him stop, I believe. He comes up there a little, which again I don't like. And there he's nice. This is really, for him, very good backwards movement. He comes off the ground, and here